In this video, we're going to take a look at a brown ink by Pilot in their Iroshizuku line, Horsetail. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the brown ink playlist, so if you wanted to see more, you can find that there. I'm an ink guy. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, no spread, no shading for the stub. The extra fine and the medium show quite a bit of shading. Now the extra fine and the medium are the same tone and both quite a bit lighter than the stub. The extra fine took 7 seconds to dry, the medium took 11. Scrubby for both do show some tone variation and we do get shading in the writing. The smear test, you could likely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Parker Jotter with a medium nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, no spread, no shading for the stub, no shading for the medium, light shading, a few peppered spots throughout the extra fine. The extra fine is lighter than the medium, and the medium's the same tone as the stub. Extra fine took 11 seconds to dry, and the medium 19. Now the scrubby for both do show tone variation, although we only get that peppering of color in the extra fine. And the smear test you probably could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we do see this dark purple tone that's at the bottom really forming a line and staying there. Now it's pushing up and we get some red that's there. We get some yellow showing up and this very light pink right at the very top. You see it above the yellow. Now the one on the right that's allowed to dry for 10 minutes, we see that that purple really stayed in place. And when it pushed up, the rest of that red, yellow, and pink all really gathered together at the top, most of it staying fairly hidden. I do expect a little bit of resistance from this ink though. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. We get no feather, no spread, very red looking here. There's no shading in the stub. There is some light shading going on in the extra fine. And in the medium, we get some shading in the form that we see some lighter areas show up. Now the extra fine and medium are largely the same tone, while the stub's quite a bit darker than them. The extra fine took 7 seconds to dry and the medium took 11. Scrubby for both do give good color variation and we do get it in the writing. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink could be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear's allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I missed a bunch with the highlighter, which was kind of funny, but of what got hit, it held together fairly well, which could make you feel confident using it in a note-taking situation. Now, water is lifting a lot of the ink, but it's really leaving that blue and obviously some of the red because it's looking quite purple there. Pen flush does everything that water does, a little bit more, but we're seeing a lot of ink still left on the paper. Now, just because it stays on the paper doesn't mean it stays in the pen. It only took water to get this out of my pen. 1/3 bleach solution is removing most all of this and is discoloring the paper a slight brown still. The next writing sample is done on Fabriano Echo Qua. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, no spread, no shading in the stub, decent shading in the extra fine. There is some in the medium in that you see that brown looks a little bit lighter than, say, the word the, but it's not really stand out here, but there is some in the medium. Now the extra fine and medium, the extra fine's a hair lighter than the medium. The medium's quite a bit dark or lighter than the stub. Extra fine took 3 seconds to dry and the medium took 5. Scrubby for both do show some color variation, and it does exist in the writing. It's just not showing off real well with this paper. The smear test says you could likely recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Iroshizuku's Horsetail has a viscosity of 2.31, meaning it's normal. The next writing sample is done on Leuchtturm 1917 paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, no spread. We have no shading for the stub. None for the medium or the extra fine. It's really eaten up there. And same with the medium. No shading in any of this writing, though the extra fine does look lighter than the medium, which is the same tone as the stub. The extra fine is 3 seconds to dry and the medium's 5. The interesting thing is I start seeing a slight purple lean here, which will matter a little bit more here coming up. Scrubby for both do show some color variation, but we're really not getting it in the writing, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Iroshizuku's Horsetail has an average dry time of 11 seconds, meaning this dries a bit faster than normal. The last writing sample is done on 20-pound copy paper. Lots of bleed spots. None of them touch the page underneath, corrupting that page, but I think all of them would stop me from using the back of the page. We do get feathering in the stub. We get no feathering in the extra fine. No real spread, which I'm very impressed with as a performance on this paper. We have no shading in the writing, and they both look about the same tone, but they also start to show a little bit of that kind of purple lean in this brown. It's quite interesting. Just like a hint of it. It still looks brown, but purple leaning brown. 1 second to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation. There was no shading in the writing, and a smear test, you can't smear it, so you don't have to worry about it. Instead of finding inks that look like Iroshizuku's Horsetail, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a light blue from Sailor, their June Bride something blue. Now this was actually because of that slight purple lean that appeared sometimes with this ink that made me feel like it would make it stand out a little bit more. So what do I think of Pilot Iroshizuku's Horsetail? The swatch shows the kind of magenta lean when there's a lot of ink down, with tone change because the lower flow pens showed brown more, which was kind of meh. The interesting thing is here on this paper, I am seeing that magenta purpley tone come out. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? I didn't care as much for that magenta purpley tone that I was getting with very wet pens, so I would go with a medium to dry flow, medium or fine pen. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Diamine's Shimmering Seas.